The summer of 2019 was supposed to be the best time of my life. I had just graduated high school, and before leaving for college in the fall, I got a summer job at a small gas station on the outskirts of town. It was the kind of place you'd only stop at if you were desperate. Just 2 pumps, a tiny convenience store, and an old neon sign that buzzed all night. The owner, Mr. Carter, was a quiet man in his late 60s. He paid well enough and didn't ask questions, which was fine by me. My shifts were usually in the evenings, from 4 p.m. to midnight. I liked it. Summer nights were warm, the crickets were loud, and business was slow. But about 3 weeks in, something strange started happening. The first night, it was late, almost 11:45 p.m. when I saw the car. A black sedan pulled up to the far pump, even though the one closest to the store was empty. The driver didn't get out. He just sat there, engine running. I waited for him to come inside to pay, but he never did. After 5 minutes, I decided to go out and see if he needed help. But when I stepped outside, the car was gone. The weird thing was, I never heard the engine leave. No headlights pulling away, no tires on the gravel road. It was like it had just vanished. The heat. The next few days were brutally hot. The air inside the store felt heavy, like it was hard to breathe. Around 10 p.m. on Wednesday, I was restocking the cooler when I heard the front door chime. I looked up. No one was there. But the air felt colder. Not cooler from the AC, colder in a way that made my skin tighten. Then I noticed the security monitor above the counter. On the grainy black and white feed, I saw the front door wide open. But in real life, when I looked over, it was shut tight. The stranger. 2 nights later, right before closing, the man finally came in. Tall, thin, wearing an old baseball cap pulled low over his face. He didn't say a word, just grabbed a bottle of water and placed it on the counter. When I tried to ring it up, the register froze, completely unresponsive. I looked up to tell him it was fine, he could just take it. But his head was tilted in this unnatural way, like he was studying me. That's when I saw his eyes. They weren't fully black, but the irises were so dark they almost swallowed the whites. He smiled, too wide, and said in a low voice, "Hot night, huh? Don't worry, it gets much colder where I'm going." Before I could react, he turned and left. The tapes. The next morning, Mr. Carter called me into the back office. He looked pale, sweating. He told me someone had been stealing gas, and we needed to check the security tapes. We rewound the footage to the night before, and my stomach dropped. The man in the baseball cap wasn't on the tape. The front door opened by itself. The bottle of water floated for a second, then landed on the counter. And then, it just sat there. No one else appeared in the store. When the clock hit 12:01 a.m., the bottle rolled to the edge and fell, spilling water everywhere. The last shift. I wanted to quit right there, but Mr. Carter begged me to finish the week. Friday night would be my last shift. It was hot again, the kind of heat that makes the pavement shimmer. The store was dead quiet. Around 11:50, I started my closing routine, mopping, locking the cooler doors, counting the register. Then the lights flickered. The hum of the fridge stopped. The crickets outside went silent, and I heard it, the crunch of gravel outside. I looked out the window. The black sedan was back. This time the driver's side door was wide open. Against every instinct, I stepped outside. The air was freezing now, my breath visible in the summer night. I looked inside the car. It was empty, except for the water bottle, sitting in the cup holder, dripping. Suddenly, the passenger door slammed shut. I jumped back, heart racing. Then I saw movement in the rearview mirror. The man in the baseball cap was sitting in the back seat, his head tilted, his grin impossibly wide. Before I could run, I heard his voice from inside my own head. "Your summer's over." Aftermath, I woke up on the floor of the store. It was 4 a.m. The sedan was gone, and the air was warm again. Mr. Carter fired me the next day, saying the security footage showed me locking up hours early and lying on the ground, mumbling to myself. But here's the thing. Every summer since then, I've seen that black sedan at least once. Sometimes in my neighborhood, sometimes parked down the street. Always empty. And I know one day I'll see him in the back seat again. When I was 22, my cousin Derek invited me to spend a week at his family's summer cabin. It was mid-July, humid, sticky, and the kind of heat that made every sound travel far. The cabin sat by a lake in the woods, about an hour from the nearest town. Derek and I hadn't seen each other in years, but we used to be close as kids. He promised we'd fish, swim, and drink beer on the dock until sunrise. I figured, why not? First night, the cabin was small but cozy. 2 bedrooms, a creaky porch, and a path leading to the lake. It smelled faintly of cedar and something else. Damp, maybe. That first night, we stayed up late drinking. Around 2 a.m., I stepped outside to use the outhouse and noticed something strange. Across the lake, maybe 300 yards away, there was another cabin. The thing is, Derek had told me no one lived on that side. But in one of the windows, a light flickered. Then it went out. Footsteps. The next morning was normal. Coffee, fishing, sweating under the sun. But at night, I couldn't sleep. It was too hot, even with the window open. That's when I heard footsteps on the porch. I figured it was Derek coming in from a smoke. But when I got up to check, the door was locked from the inside. The footsteps continued, slow, deliberate, circling the cabin. Then they stopped, right outside my window. I didn't move, didn't breathe. I could feel someone standing there. After what felt like forever, the footsteps moved away, toward the lake. The girl in the water. On the 3rd day, while swimming, I thought I saw someone under the dock. At first, I figured it was Derek playing a joke, until I saw hair floating on the surface. Long, dark hair. I swam closer, heart pounding, but when I dove under, there was nothing, just murky water and shadows. That night, Derek mentioned something in passing. "Hey, if you see lights across the lake again, don't look too long. Dad always said that side's bad luck." I asked him what he meant, but he just shrugged it off. The cabin. Across the lake. On the 4th night, I woke up to see a faint light flickering across the water again. This time, it wasn't coming from inside. It was on the dock. A lantern swaying slightly. And behind it, a figure. From this distance, it looked like a woman, barefoot, with her hair hanging over her face. I should have looked away, but I didn't. She tilted her head, as if she could see me from across the lake. Then the lantern went out. The last night. We were packing up the next day, but that night was unbearable. The air felt heavier, like it was pressing down on my chest. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to the sound of water dripping inside the cabin. I followed the sound into the kitchen. The floor was wet, puddles forming in the moonlight. Then I saw them, bare, muddy footprints leading from the front door to the hallway. and they weren't ours. I backed away slowly, trying to wake Derek. But when I turned toward his room, the door was open. His bed was empty. The shore panicked. I grabbed a flashlight and ran outside. The beam cut through the trees until it hit the shoreline. Derek was standing ankle-deep in the lake, facing the other side. And just beyond him, in the shallow water, was the woman. Her skin was pale, her hair dripping, and her eyes completely black. She reached out and touched his arm. The instant she did, Derek dropped into the water without a sound. I screamed and ran in. But when I reached the spot, he was gone. The water was calm. Too calm. Aftermath. The police searched for 2 weeks. They found no trace of Derek, no footprints, nothing across the lake. They told me I must have been confused from the heat, from drinking. But I know what I saw, and every summer since, I've received a postcard in the mail. No return address, just a photo of the lake at night, and a tiny light flickering on the opposite shore. The summer I turned 19, I took a road trip from Texas to Colorado to visit friends. It was one of those long, hot July drives where the asphalt seems to melt and the air smells like dust and gasoline. Around 11:30 p.m., somewhere in the middle of New Mexico, I realized I was exhausted. My eyelids felt heavy, and my GPS showed the next town was almost an hour away. That's when I saw the sign, Rest Area. 1 mile first impressions. The place was lit by 3 tall street lamps, but the bulbs were old and yellow, buzzing in the heat. There were 2 vending machines, a couple of picnic tables, and a single bathroom building. The parking lot was completely empty. I parked under the light closest to the bathroom and stepped out. The night air was thick and still. I told myself I'd just splash some water on my face, maybe grab a soda, and get back on the road. As I walked toward the bathroom, I noticed a man sitting on one of the picnic tables. He was wearing jeans and a faded green shirt, leaning forward like he was deep in thought. I hadn't seen him when I pulled in. When I got closer, he looked up at me and smiled, wide, too wide. "Hot night," he said, his voice low and gravelly. "Yeah," I mumbled, not wanting to engage. I ducked into the bathroom. The bathroom smelled faintly of bleach and something metallic. The fluorescent light flickered. I bent over the sink, splashing water on my face. When I looked up into the mirror, my stomach dropped. The man from outside was standing in the far corner of the bathroom, completely still, head tilted, eyes fixed on me. I spun around, but the corner was empty. When I turned back to the mirror, he was gone there too. Shaken, I left the bathroom and headed straight for my car. But the man was now standing by the vending machines, his back to me. I got in the car, locked the doors, and started the engine. That's when I heard it, a whisper coming from the back seat. "Don't drive yet." I froze. Slowly, I turned my head. The back seat was empty. Then, in my rearview mirror, I saw headlights approaching. A large semi-truck pulled into the rest area and stopped right next to my car, blocking me in. The driver didn't get out. The cab was dark, but I could feel someone watching me from inside. I panicked, throwing the car into reverse and weaving around the picnic tables until I hit the exit. For the next 30 minutes, the highway was completely empty. No headlights, no taillights, just my little car cutting through the desert night. Then, in the distance, I saw another rest stop sign. And there, under the buzzing street lamps, was the same man, same jeans, same green shirt, sitting on a picnic table, smiling at me as I drove past. I didn't stop again that night. I didn't even tell my friends about it. But 2 weeks later, back home, I was scrolling through a local news site when a headline caught my eye. Unidentified man linked to multiple rest area disappearances. The photos showed him. Same jeans, same green shirt. The articles said he'd last been spotted at a highway rest stop in New Mexico on July 12th, the exact night I saw him.